So while I was joyously counting down the days to the Tony Hawk remake, Austin reminded me that isn't the only release this Friday.
Well, by the time this episode comes out, they will both be long out.
Yeah, but only one of them is going to get remembered.
Yeah, Avengers.
No, the one that already got remembered fondly enough the first time to get remade twice.
Yeah, Avengers.
So we both played that beta.
They're remaking Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
I think, Chris, you said you watched some stuff of it.
Oh, I was just saying I watched a video of the first 19 minutes of Marvel Avengers PS4 gameplay, and IGN asked you, did you enjoy this video? And I just clicked no.
So after every mission in that game, they ask you to rate it on is it 1 to 5 stars?
Well, I think that was just for the beta, but yeah, they're like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much did you enjoy that mission?
So you gave a 1 to every mission except for the one that you accidentally gave a 2 and was upset about it.
Yeah. I accidentally used the Destiny cursor that they have wrong and hit 2 instead of 1 and went, no.
Well, now we'll know whose fault it is.
Yeah. They would have canceled the game if I had given them all 1s.
They would have gone back and changed all the mission design.
That game is...
It is shockingly bland.
All right. I've already
like all of the cinema involved with it?
No,
the Marvel movies are way more exciting.
Yeah. There's some heart in those, even if it's backed by...
Superheroes are dumb. People that don't die or lose.
Oh, I agree. They make death kind of meaningless and all of it. But when you factor time and space... But then you can kind of do anything. But it does make you appreciate... At least, like, there are good artists who work on those movies that know what they're doing.
And then there were some good artists at Crystal Dynamics, and then they went out to lunch. And then they made Avengers before they got back.
and the backup squad took over.
There are good artists. Everyone who worked on the Hulk game from 2003.
Ultimate Destruction.
That game was dope. Which would also not be the first time I think we brought it up on here.
No, I bring it up all the time.
Well, no other game can use a car as boxing gloves.
Good superhero games, there's plenty.
It's true.
The Arkham games, the Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man game, all the old Spider-Man games.
If I had a time machine that was specific, this is the dumbest thing I'm about to say. If I had a time machine specifically for rewriting video game history,
Go on.
We're going to get super specific. I would prevent the Arkham games from ever coming out.
Really?
Why?
Because it's just saddened the end. There isn't a game that's a third-person combat game that will come out for the next 20 years that doesn't completely copy that entire combat style.
That's not true. There's 2 combat styles.
You can also make the same argument about Dark Souls and adventure games.
I was going to say there's 3. There's 3 styles. If you're going to make a third-person action game of any kind, you got 3 styles RPGs, to choose from. Arkham Combat, Dark Souls Combat, or Platinum Games Combat.
Yeah.
Or Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Clover.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Those are your 3 options. And of the 3, I vastly prefer the Devil May Cry option, personally. But really, that's just Platinum that makes those. Because Assassin's Creed did all of them.
Yes.
At one point or another. They're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. The only thing I really remember about playing Assassin's Creed is that I got to a point where I learned that you could just counter every move, and then I stopped being an assassin. I would just murder everybody in plain sight and then fight off 80 guards in a row.
Hey, that's how I play.
Away.
Yeah. I mean...
We co-opted Unity, and once you could get a blunderbuss, I just ran and blasted.
Stealth wasn't an option anymore.
Why would they give you a blunderbuss?
For idiots like you.
Because assassins or pirates or whatever.
Well, now they're Vikings, which makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, the Avengers game. One of the most confusing...
Yeah, that's right, listeners. We're still on about how Viking assassins are stupid. After 2
they're not
episodes, we're still on about it.
I couldn't remember if we mentioned that before.
Yeah, conceptually. No, we did. I think.
We did. Chris just mentioned it.
Okay.
I just couldn't remember. Yeah, Avengers is like bad in all the ways I thought it would be good and okay in all the ways I thought it would be awful. If that makes any sense. Anthem is better. I'm saying it right now.
Man, that's bold.
I've ranted before.
Whoa.
On the podcast about the Anthem beta and about how I bought a copy of it for $5 this past holiday season because I'm an idiot. And I played enough of Anthem and enough of Avengers now to tell you that Anthem is a better game.
I mean, I will hear your argument in that it is more interesting.
It's just better in every way.
Yeah.
Every single way.
What did you like most about the Avengers beta?
I liked playing as Iron Man, because it played like Anthem. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Playing as the Hulk sucks ass.
Yeah, and they make you do it for a big bulk of it.
They make you do it for like 3 hours. Playing as Miss Marvel was just playing as the Hulk, but tinier.
Stretchier.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't play this beta. When you die, do you explode into all the pieces you're made of? Or
What's that a reference to?
Lego?
Yeah, gotcha.
It really is a Lego game.
It's more in-depth than a Lego game.
I guess.
I was going to say Lego games are better.
But Andrew was right, friend of the show, about how like there's very specific abilities, but they're not character specific. They're just kind of like...
Sure.
It's like these are the
more
characters who flies, these are the characters who grapple.
Ultimate Alliance. It's like, I remember like I got like a stat point and they're like, you can hit square, 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 triangle. New combo. And I was like, I'm not even that into fighting games, or like I like character action games quite a bit, but I'm not like super good at them. Like those people that get like triple S combos in Devil May Cry and post them on YouTube. But I was insulted.
But you could upgrade Hulk's
Yeah, I got new bones.
Yeah, that's his loot.
My favorite part was the one when I was fighting the boss as the Hulk, and I kept dying. And then I realized that anything that glows green, you have to smash, and that's how you get health.
Yeah.
And then there was the one time where I was bunny hopping around the boss fight as the Hulk, trying to avoid getting punched. And I was like, yeah, like in the Hulk movie, when the Hulk is running around looking for health pickups.
Think about how much
and
it's going to
not just
change
ripping everything he sees in half.
when you play as
That's
She-Hulk.
just smashing a car in half and putting it on his fist and then jumping across a building.
I mean, I thought playing as Black Widow seemed all right. It's the closest to Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But all right, so before we get in the episode, you have to describe the multiplayer in this game, because I thought that was by far the craziest.
I don't understand. So the game has story missions, and then it has iconic missions, which are character focused, but they're not part of the story.
Yeah.
And then it has harm rooms, which are holographic something, something, something. You know Marvel and their acronyms.
They do love acronyms. Yeah.
And those are just, looks like they just took the room that they test everything in that's untextured, and then they just pop you in there and spawn a bunch of enemies, and you kill them until the timer runs out.
Yeah.
And then they have what I thought going in was their version of strikes from Destiny.
That's what I thought too.
Which the strikes from Destiny are... Some of them are new, some of them are snipped out of the campaign, but they're lengthy and they're interesting, and there's a through line to them.
Especially visually.
So me and Randy are at the holo deck. What's it called? The holo table or whatever?
I don't know.
Don't you dare insult this awful game with Star Trek terminology.
I would rather watch an entire episode of Star Trek than play Avengers again.
That's an easy one.
I've never seen Star Trek. So we go up to the holograph table, and they're like, okay, so you have 3 options, right? And one of them is like Portland.
Yeah.
One of them is Utah, and one of them is New York City.
Is it Utah? I thought it was like New Mexico or something. Yeah.
It's like kind of
Pacific
famous,
Northwest
kind of famous city, the most famous city, and then middle of nowhere, or like the 3 options, right?
Yeah. And the icon for the level.
And the icon for New York City is a picture of Times Square, of course, because it's New York City. So me and Randy go, well, obviously,
that will
the
probably
most
look
visually interesting is going to be New York City, because you can fake a forest in Utah. I'm not going to call you out on it, but you can't fake Times Square. I've been there, and I've seen it in movies and shit.
Yeah.
So we go, and we spawn in this underground bunker, right? And then I fight through one room of enemies, and then there's a thing where we all have to stand in the same circle, and it literally says Avengers Assemble on screen. We have to stand in the same circle. It opens a door, and it says, destroy the generators. And then there's 4 generators, and we have to punch them while fighting off enemies. And then the game just cuts and goes, congrats, and fades to black. No fanfare, nothing.
It was probably less,
By the way, the whole time, we're in this samey looking underground thing where
very
we're
sterile
supposed to
and
be in New
boring.
York City,
Yeah.
and nobody is talking to anybody.
No
There's
character
no like
banter.
voice lines
Yeah.
where like the Hulk's like, "Don't worry, Black Widow, I got you," or some shit like that. It's just like boring ass, no music, no nothing. It's just punch. It's just psh, 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 pew, pew. Just punching and laser sounds. So then we go, okay, so that was New York City. I was like,
By the way, we should mention this was under 5 minutes.
oh yeah, it's like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it took longer to load because we were playing on PS4. It took longer to load in and out of it than it did to beat it. So we go, okay, well that was New York City. I guess they got underground bunkers in the city. What about the forest? They don't have underground bunkers in the forest, right?
Guess what it looked
At least
like.
fighting among the trees will be more interesting than fighting them in a bunker.
Yeah.
So we spawn into the exact same room that we spawned in New York City.
Yeah, they barely moved those assets around.
It's like mirror flipped maybe, but it's the same room.
Same
So then
enemies.
we fight
yeah.
the same enemies. We go up to the same door. It says Avengers Assemble again. We stand in the circle. And then it's like, break the security robots instead of generators. But it's the same room, but like with security bots instead of generators. So then again, no talking, no music.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of punching and laser sounds. We beat all the enemies. It goes, congrats. Fades to black, zero fanfare. And spits us back out to the menu.
So naturally, we had to try the third level just to.
So naturally we go, okay, well, so there has to be a mission somewhere in here that isn't this.
Yeah.
So we're going to give it one more shot. That was Utah, so then we go to Portland
Yeah.
or whatever. It's on the West Coast somewhere. We load into the level, drops us in a bunker, same room, beat up a bunch of enemies, go up to the door, wait a
Robots.
couple seconds, kill some robots, fades to black, ends. And then that was the mission I accidentally gave a 2-2, and then we shut the game off. It was so
Lifeless. Yeah.
lifeless. And I thought that it's funny because a lot of the jokes that come from talking about Avengers are people making fun of the combat because the combat looks boring. The combat is the best part,
I mean, when
of
everything
the
else
game.
is what it is.
which I thought I was going to be like, it might be a good loot game like Destiny just with shitty combat, but it's got the Avengers in it, and it was the opposite. It was a shitty Avengers game with like okay combat.
Yeah. Man, does it not? And it's funny because they give you a lot of content in that beta to play around with just to really sell you.
You know how you know it's bad? When I played, I remember when Destiny came out and they gave it the beta and it was like Earth. And then
Yeah.
you realized that was Earth and
Yeah.
that the game was very short. When I played that beta, I was like, man, I want to play the moon. I can't wait. It's going to be great. And I was mad because at the end of the day, in actual vanilla Destiny, there wasn't enough content. So then in Avengers, they're like, well, we'll give you plenty of content. And I couldn't get through all of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't.
I got bored before the beta ended.
Interesting.
The only thing I will say is that so there's a part in the beginning where they give you a little snippet of each character to play as, and the two characters I had the most fun playing were Captain America and Thor.
Captain America who dies.
Oh yeah,
like,
Captain America
immediately.
dies.
I'm sure he's
in the
he'll
game.
be back.
No,
Yeah, they're gonna
he's dead.
take all the time to build that for nothing.
Yeah, and then in the beta, they're like, Thor went back to his planet. Captain America's dead, so you can't play as them in the beta. And I was like, can I play as them in the real game, or do I have to like level Hulk up to 20 and then like switch to Captain America?
It's funny when you play online, you can only have one person per character, so they give you 4 in the beta to use. But the problem is you have to play as the Hulk for like 2 hours. So
nobody wants to play as the
nobody wanted
Hulk.
to play Hulk.
Oh,
We
yeah.
couldn't even populate a full game.
Oh yeah, we were playing with 3 people and an AI because people kept leaving when they got the Hulk. Which is like the easiest character to make fun in a video game.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
Hulk Ultimate Destruction isn't a phenomenal video game. They just did what you're supposed to do, which is he's
Smash.
basically invincible and he smashes shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Hulk do.
Yeah.
And instead, they're like, what if he fought guys that could block him and have shields? You're like, what?
It's like when you play a Star Wars game and they're like, this special robot
I
has
know.
a lightsaber, so
God.
you can't kill him right away. And you're like, I'm a damn Jedi. I can throw him off a cliff.
Some of the
They're like, nah, he blocked your force
Some of the
throw. And you're
most-
like, that doesn't make any sense.
some of the most popular mods
He
in
had
the
blocked telekinesis.
for the Dark Forces games on PC is just like one-hit kill lightsaber mods because
Yeah,
it's a
because that's
fucking
how it should be.
lightsaber. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there's been a lot of talk over this past generation about the death of the B game or AA game, whatever you want to call it. stuff like the Dark Forces games.
Now there's quadruple A and triple A and triple I.
And they both suck.
And then double I.
You're talking about batteries now, man.
Oh, fuck. Wait, there's 9-volt games and watch games.
I did recently find out that the quadruple A batteries are real because Surface Pens use them, apparently.
Really?
What if somebody busted down his door?
I have a Surface Pen. You want to rip it apart?
Find out?
And find out?
Sure.
No, that thing's worth more than the laptop, I think.
But this was back before the budget and scale of nearly every project underneath the larger publishers out there ballooned to an almost unsustainable degree.
This reminds me, I just recently saw a tweet, not to cut you off in the middle of your intro, but well, do your intro. Sorry.
It's fine.
Do your intro. Finish. Well, now I want to play a game.
Okay.
Intro.
A time when EA, Activision, and Ubisoft weren't just the only third-party distributors out there for your full-price release, practically. Even legacy companies like Capcom shifted development to be more internal, while Konami just decided to not make games anymore. But I'm talking, of course, about those teams that didn't survive into the aggressive competition and service models that we all know today. Speaking of that Avengers game. An era of silly logos, bad licensed games, and ports of arcade hits, some way better than others. I certainly don't want to romanticize all of it. There was plenty of shitty cash grabs and shovelware, trust me. Although every once in a while, these groups would put out something actually pretty fucking rad, or even like totally innovative. Plus, it was a great way for smaller devs to find the means to make it onto our favorite home consoles. Well, at least it was. As I've already hinted at, most of these guys aren't around anymore, almost entirely due to the combination of the market only heading one way and them fucking up colossally, often in hilarious ways. Now the question just is, who do we talk about first? Midway, THQ, 3DO? No, let's get into those even more forgotten than them now. Acclaim.
Infograms? Oh.
The fine folks behind Turok, Burnout, and BMX XXX. This is Hot Button. I'm Randall Beatrice here with Austin Blakesley.
Hey.
And Chris Anantuano.
Oi.
What do y'all say we take a trip down the memory lane that probably wasn't really good enough to occupy the space in our sad minds to begin with?
I was a quick question.
Yes.
I want you to list the last 3 Acclaim games that you played.
That I played?
Yeah, so I think I know what they all are.
Oh, you mean that came out chronologically or that I've played recently?
That you've played recently.
Well, we'll get into one of those later. But it's the one that shall not be named, and then probably Burnout 2.
Why don't we name it, though? No. Just in case.
Because I was playing all the Burnout games.
You should just say it, though. It's okay if you just say it.
I was playing all the Burnout games recently, and what's a third? Unless you know something I don't.
I thought it was just Burnout 1 and 2, and then...
Oh, then yeah, you might be right.
And then a BMX game. I don't remember which one, though.
It was Dave Mara's
Nope. Dave Mara wasn't involved
BMX
at all,
3.
actually.
Oh, no, he was for a little while. We'll get into that.
So to tell this story to the audience, a friend of ours bought a copy of BMX XXX, and then Randy, like the gamer he truly is, went online and looked up cheats to unlock all the stripper videos.
Yeah,
and then watched them all.
You could probably just look it up online.
Yeah, because apparently internet porn too high risk.
No, we had to see that through the glorious HD GameCube adapter. Actually, I don't know if those videos are archived online. I mean, there's other porn online, but...
You could be the one, dude. And then you could do it with your copy of the Guy game that you totally bought.
I don't have that game.
I looked it up the other day. It's very expensive.
I told you it was.
All right, now we're going to play a new game. You mentioned the ballooning size of developers and games now.
Yeah.
So I found a tweet where they listed like the last 4 big uns and how many developers worked on each. So I'm going to go down the list, and you're going to guess. You guys are going to guess how many people worked on the game that I mentioned.
Oh,
okay?
boy.
Boom, here we go. Pornhub.com, BMX, XXX, family videos.
Wait, actually...
I just hope nobody walks in while I'm recording and Pornhub up on one screen, Audacity on the other.
Yeah, just recording yourself. Okay, first, Ghost of Tsushima.
I gotta mute myself. I'll be back. It's okay. Just keep going. I'm just kidding. Kidding. That was a jerk off joke.
It was.
For everybody out there.
I got it.
The crew size of Ghosts?
Yeah. Amount of developers in the credits.
2,500.
No.
More or less.
Less.
1,500.
More.
2,000.
Less.
1,801.
Oh, you're so close.
I don't know.
1,700.
Okay.
Well, 1,697 plus 100 people were thanked.
Okay. I started with Ubisoft numbers first, I guess.
Oh, we'll get there. Next up, we have Last of Us Part 2.
I'm going to go back to my 2,500.
And this is Chris, you can jump in here too. But the rule, I'm going to give you one guess, then I'm going to say higher or lower, and then you get a second guess.
I wonder who has the biggest.
Does this
It's
include,
probably-
if we're talking about Last of Us 2, does this include the amount of people that were thrown into a metal grinder and pressed into paste to feed the other people who were being whipped
what
while they developed the game?
That's what the thanks section is for.
Yeah, they got the idea from
Okay,
Red
okay.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to go back to, 2,400.
Lower.
Really? 22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2168. Plus
All right.
163 people thanked.
Jeez. A lot of these games I'm going to talk about today are like 20 people or something.
Next up, Modern Warfare.
Oh, Jesus.
Now we're getting into the multi-studio games.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Did that game have 2 or 3 developers?
I believe it's 4.
Oh, well, they have the teams
It's
help,
Infinity Ward plus Treyarch, Beanox, High Moon,
right, Beanox was the other.
and Sledgehammer. That might be 5, actually. Yeah.
I thought Sledgehammer was...
They were, and then they got fired.
Right. Okay.
Well, they didn't get fired. They
were like
kicked
dissolved
off.
into a support
No, they
studio,
still
maybe?
exist, but they got kicked off of Cold War.
Oh. Right, because the rotation would have served to be the next. 2,600.
Higher.
2,800.
Higher.
3,000?
Okay. Chris, you have any guesses?
Jesus.
4,000.
Lower.
What's lower than 4,000? 5,000?
Like, we're getting up there. How many people work for Riot? Like, Jesus.
Final answer.
Yeah, it must be everybody.
3262 plus 66 people thanked. Less people thanked,
Yeah, not a lot.
but double the amount of people.
Because I was
Ghost
about
of
to make a
Tsushima.
joke. If you go through that credits, we're there somewhere. But
And finally, the granddaddy of them all,
is this Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
10,000. It feels like it with how long their fucking credits are.
Lower.
What, 6,000? Wait, now you're talking multi-country studios.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
everybody from Ubisoft Morocco and Ubisoft whatever, that Ubisoft
Sudan.
small island.
The oil
that's a
raid
tough,
that they
That's a
had.
tough joke to make to find a weird city that
I
Ubisoft
know, yeah.
doesn't have a studio
Yeah, I'm
in.
pretty sure.
It's
There are game studios in
Ubisoft-
Morocco.
Ubisoft Singapore. Shit. That exists. Ubisoft Kiev. Fuck.
I'm going to say 33. Higher.
You know what? I think it's a trick question. 4 people worked on.
You're right if you times that by 1,000 and then add another 400.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot.
4,410 with an additional 172 people thanked.
Jeez. That's games now, huh? That's, I guess it really is. Because that,
Which one's that? Odyssey? There were less people in the actual Greek army at that time than it took to make the game Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
there's probably less people that worked on the fucking end game.
That's very fair.
Jeez. I think we ended up working on that game at some point, right?
Yeah, I actually wrote it. So
Oh.
Very disappointed.
Yeah, you could have done better.
you didn't play Odyssey. Could have the best story.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Valhalla.
No, Valhalla's not out yet.
Red Dead had an amazing story.
How many people do you think worked on Red Dead Redemption 2?
Who's actually on the credits?
Yes.
4,000 and... I'm going to say 4,700? 4,500?
No.
2.
So it's less people. It's less people than Assassin's
The
Creed.
Housers.
It's
Really?
4135, but 3186 thank you credits.
Okay.
So for a total of 7,300 people.
Well, we're going to scale things way back now for the rest of this. We're going to funnel it into our humble beginnings, kind of. Acclaim Entertainment was founded out of an Oyster Bay storefront in Glen Clove, New York, 33 years ago. This is 1987. It was formed by ex-Activision employees Jim Skoropolsky, Rob Holmes, and Greg Fishbach, the latter of whom would be CEO. The three had all left their previous employer due to disagreements and disappointments on the creative side. After all, this wasn't long past the video game collapse of '83, wherein the future Call of Duty guys had yet to have their resurgence. Activision is heavily credited for being kind of like the first major third party. Now, they each did pursue other ventures first, until then meeting back up once again a couple years later to get right back into games, a business they all of which, of course, enjoyed and had experience in. Fishbach was recently left unemployed by RCA Records.
Dude, I call BS. Nobody ever enjoyed working in the video game industry.
Oh, back then, I don't know. When you think about the Atari days, who was the cocaine and hot tubs people reference?
Steve Jobs worked for Atari. He was in that Ashton Kutcher movie.
Damn, now I can't think of him.
You ever see that? Steve Jobs, the movie? It's good.
You quoted that Steve Jobs movie, but not the other one?
They only made one. What other one?
Nolan Bushnell. I didn't even have to look it up. I remember.
The inventor of Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That is true.
That dude just knocked it out of the park with his businesses. They're all still around today. It's great.
So Skoropolsky was, at this point in time, he was running a sales repping company, but seemed enthusiastic at the investment. A call to Holmes was made and Acclaim was born. The name itself being specifically chosen in order to be alphabetically above not only Activision in any industry list or phone book, but also another company made up of ex-Activision people called Acclaim, the folks behind the Bubsy titles. Many learned of this simple trend when hearing the tactic was previously used by Apple as well as Activision themselves, and since Activision was originally formed from ex-Atari members.
Right.
So everybody just kept choosing A names to be higher up in the fucking...
I know. I
would make a game company called
I mean, there is that fucking Steam game called that where it shows up at the top of your...
2 questions.
Library.
Number 1... Well, question and statement.
Mm-hmm.
Question, I think you'll probably get to this, but isn't Acclaim technically not above Activision? Isn't it AKK?
No, it's 2 C's.
You're fucking with me. Is this one of those Streisand things or whatever? No, not Streisand. The Mandela effect or whatever.
It's their logo. It's their logo looks...
It looks like K's, but it's not.
Yes. It's 2 C's. It's just they're very sharp corners on those C's.
You're fucking... How is that a C? In what world?
No, in Activision's world, it's a C. You just don't understand, man.
If you Google Acclaim with K's, it works.
Well, that just means they get to be in the phone book twice.
Sure. Also...
It literally works? Are you kidding?
Well, it says Acclaim Entertainment with C's on Wikipedia, but it doesn't say, did you mean Acclaim with C's? It just shows you Acclaim. So that's how much of a problem it is.
You had me second-guessing myself. Yeah. Like, what?
Also...
After all this research...
Also, statement, how dare you come after the Bubsy people?
You're the first person to go to bat for...
They've never done it. They're trying their hardest, okay?
I don't know if they are.
It's not easy to make a 3D platformer.
Their 2D ones aren't good either.
I know.
So yeah, they opened an office, they had their connections, the arcade scene was still doing well, all while Nintendo and Sega were bringing console gaming back to the house with a boom. It seemed like a no-brainer here to continue that work of uniting those markets together with ports of the most popular cabinets. You know, the coming to your home. NES versions of Donkey Kong and Tetris were raking in quite the sales numbers, similar to what Space Invaders and Pong did for the Atari 2600 a decade prior. Also for more Tetris, you know where to go.
Where do I go?
You can just look it up. Wikipedia.com. You can just, if you want to find out about Tetris.
Just posted that in the... Just a screenshot of Bubsy 3D.
Right? So remember, the initial mission of Acclaim was just to exclusively publish, not to actually program. This meant that port work, localizing, or even funding development later on would all be farmed out to other studios. The first game to hit shelves under their label was an NES edition of the Japanese arcade shoot-'em-up Tiger Heli. Originally put out in Japan by Taito in 1985, it made its way here to our Nintendo platform through our dudes by fall of '86. 1997, the same year they opened their doors. Not bad. They also went on to assist in passing the title along to Europe sometime after as well, and both these releases went on to sell over 1 million units total. Like, not bad at all. It didn't take long after this for them to get into the game of putting things out attached to various major licenses. Almost anything based on a movie, TV show, or comic during this time would have a video game attached with it, and more often than not, it was Acclaim at the helm.
I was going to say they did all the Simpsons games.
They did, and that was a big get for them. We'll get into
a bunch
that.
of Spider-Man games,
Yeah,
too.
Rambo, Knight Rider.
Venom, Spider-Man, Separation Anxiety. That fucking game. I have like a vivid memory
Really?
of playing that, and I was like looking through the Acclaim shit, and I was like, holy shit. I didn't care who made games in the 90s.
We're actually still in the 80s at this point. Or no, actually, yeah, we're about 1990 because it's like...
Well, no, the Spider-Man game came out in the 90s. That's why I was saying
Oh, no,
that.
totally. But it's funny because I'm looking at their first few kind of IPs, and like Knight Rider is a very 80s thing, but Total Recall's in here, and that I'm pretty sure that was early 90s. And they were even one of the first to partner with the WWF Foundation, not the other one you're thinking.
The World Wildlife Fund?
And that relationship went on for a few years, too. Oh, here we go. Yeah, by 1990, they had already formed bonds with tons of other famous game companies. Rare, Square, Atlas, Technos, HAL Laboratories of Smash Brothers fame. Arcade ports continued with stuff like Narc and the Double Dragon titles, while the brand names they collected got even bigger. All of the early Simpsons games that you mentioned, Austin, that my roommate just bought and that are all fucking impossible, were all through them. They soon then branched out beyond just the NES and Game Boy with their version of Populous for the new Super NES. Smash TV was also them. Things were running fairly smoothly until a couple years later, in 1993, they would see their biggest launch yet. Previous hot button staple Mortal Kombat 1 was ready to occupy living rooms and kids' hands everywhere. After fighting off various attacks from advocacy groups, the ESRB would make its entrance, and the controversial arcade fighter would explode up the fucking sales charts. Like, that was real big.
Never heard of
It
it.
ripped the fucking sales chart spines out and spit on them.
Was that Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Does that have a C or a K?
That is two C's actually.
Yeah.
Shit,
Yeah,
really?
you got it
It's
wrong.
Mortal CCOMBAT. Yes.
Fuck. The logo's so deceptive.
So
It is. It does look like just one single K, but it isn't. Just Google it.
So again, yeah, it's like sales are looking good. Acclaim was riding pretty high around this time, and the aforementioned Midway proved to be their closest friend in having them do so initially, prior to them publishing themselves anyway. But yeah, home editions of NBA Jam and NFL Blitz only
Hell
brought
yeah.
Oh, NBA Jam.
them closer to
dude.
the top of the third-party publishing ladder.
Blitz rules.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't give a shit about football, and that game was a blast.
Dude, what a year.
What are you looking at?
1994.
93?
94. You got NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat 2, Virtual
Oh, yeah.
Bart, Spider-Man and Venom in Maximum Carnage, WWF Raw,
Maximum Carnage. Ugh.
and Itchy and Scratchy Miniature Golf Madness. So,
But you're not wrong. Things seemed pretty promising, like for especially a company of their size. But like all the stuff with like Midway though, like that only made other IPs want to get in on the success as well. They soon had, like Chris mentioned, Spider-Man, Batman, South Park, X-Men, fucking Space.
Dude, the fucking South Park
like,
games.
Space Jam.
I vividly remember playing them on N64 at my cousin's house.
Which one?
They
The
were so
Quake,
fucking stupid.
the Quake shooter one, or the
yeah, I still have that. I found my copy of that the other day.
because there was a racing one, the rally, and then there was their weird Mario Party.
Oh, yeah, Chef's
Yeah,
Love
Chef's Love
Shack.
Shack, yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably the best one.
They also did Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Oh my god. Wasn't that a
Acclaim?
PS1 launch game, I think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And you forgot one very important IP that they got a hold of.
I already said Space Jam.
You forgot two, actually.
Okay.
You didn't say, oh man, there's so many. Holy shit.
Well, make sure you don't go too far into the future.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll let you get to Cool Spot on your own.
Cool Spot's not in my script, I'm sorry. That was a reskin, I think, of a different game, wasn't it?
Doesn't matter. Would have been shit without Cool Spot.
I don't think I've ever even seen you drink a 7-Up.
I'm gonna go get one right now.
Hey, they taste like shit. Don't waste your money.
Yeah, but like, all right, picture this. Ready?
Yeah.
What if it was Sprite but worse. 7-Up.
Oh, Sierra Mist.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's Mountain Dew.
If you're listening to me, who does 7-Up? Canada Dry, Dr. Pepper, whatever company they call themselves.
I don't know.
You can steal that slogan. You can get like off-brand LeBron James to promote you since he does Sprite.
How are you gonna
like
name
Dwight
something
Howard or something?
a country and then the word dry and be like, drink this? I really don't understand that.
I don't know. You remember DNL?
Thirsty?
No.
Have a dry.
You don't remember DNL?
No.
Chris, you remember DNL?
What's that? DNL.
DNL?
Are you,
What's that an
are you
acronym?
I want you to go on this
Are you
journey.
trying to activate some sort of sleeper agent right now? I don't know what you're doing.
Chris just stands up and starts murdering everybody in his house. No, I want you to do a little thought experiment here. Close your eyes.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Oh.
And picture the 7-Up logo.
Okay.
7UP. Now flip it upside down.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
There was a version of 7-Up called DNL that was just 7-Up but sweeter in the 90s.
They pre-shook the cans up and
And the
stocked them
slogan
upside
is
down.
turn your thirst upside down. And the word down is upside down.
It's better than your thirst being dry, I guess. I don't know. So
And it looks like it says turn your thirst upside you mop. Just so you know.
if it's not evident by what we're saying, not all these games were good, but whatever. It was theirs. They began to publish on the PlayStation, the Genesis. That is their logo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I thought there would be a little bit more sorcery in that, like a bit more craft and.
Sorry, get back to talking about video games. I'm going to order a case of DNL on eBay.
Damn it. So I was saying that they began to publish on Genesis, PlayStation, and bring more Japanese exclusive stuff over to the West, such as Bust-A-Move. By 95, they saw over $585 million in profit. That meant that it was overdue to start acquiring some shit, build themselves up more so they could have their own original releases. You know, don't have to pay license holders anymore for Cool Spot or whatever.
You can just mention Cool Spot. That was the most expensive.
Yeah, I know Cool Spot probably costs more than X-Men and Batman and Spider-Man.
That's probably got to be the bad Italian accent budget alone from Assassin's Creed 2. It's got just $500 million. Can you believe that?
I mean, it's funny because it's like you think the Simpsons fucking IP at that point would have been the most expensive. Like,
for Batman, though?
I guess this is post.
Because they literally
some of
made
those
the Batman
movies.
Forever game for
They
the
did.
movie.
Yeah.
The best Batman movie.
You don't think the Shadow Man IP?
No, the best
refers-
Batman movie is Lego Batman.
I think it's Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for more. Okay.
That was the first Batman movie I saw. I've never seen the 89 Batman. I've never seen Batman Forever.
Really?
The first one I saw was Batman and Robin. Is that the one with Mr. Freeze?
Yes.
Where he's like, nice to meet you and stuff.
And Poison Ivy and the nipples. And
Hell yeah, dude. And then after that, it was all downhill for Batman.
Well, Robert Pattinson's going to come back and fix it all. Just for you.
Does he got nipples in that movie, though?
I mean, I assume Robert Pattinson has nipples. I don't know if you'll see them, but...
Don't assume anything. You know what they say about assuming stuff.
But here was when they purchased Sculptured Software, Probe Entertainment, make your jokes now, and another hot button covered group called Iguana Entertainment. The company run by the frat bro programmer himself, Mr. Jeff Spanglenberg.
That was a real tongue twister there.
It really was.
Frat bro programmer. Say that 5 times fast.
No, I already had to have Jason edit on a previous take of that. And even Jeff's last name, I fuck up too. Spangenberg. I think I added an L
What
in there
an
by
appropriate
accident.
last name for a person.
It's for that person, yeah. And obviously, for more on him, please check out our episode on The Guy Game. Probably one of my favorites ever. That story is so
You
dark.
heard
That
it here first.
game is one of his favorites.
No,
You heard it here
it's
first.
the
Randy's
story.
favorite game is the Guy Game.
I love thinking about the
And you love all
idiot wrecking
the
his
whole
Ferraris.
Game. And you played the whole game.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
All of these studios, by the way, would later become full subsidiaries of Acclaim, including Iguana, which was later just simply known as Acclaim Studios. This was where their venture into motion capture would begin as well, with their format still being used by other engineers in the field today. I'll also get back to them in a second. That same year, they bought Valiant Comics, a comic book publisher in New York City that was founded in 1989 by former Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. The reason for this deal was so that they could do two specific things. Reason one was so they could print official booklets and strategy guides for their titles themselves. Remember those? And reason two was that they would now own the rights to Valiant's characters for both games based off their properties, and new crossover projects could arise. The first and most famous attempt at this was Iguana's line of Turok games, a franchise controlled by them and no one else. Now,
was Turok a comic?
It was done in partnership with Valiant, but I don't... Like, they kind of conceptually came up with the characters in the world, but there probably were Turok comics, at least for the 2008 release, I assume.
You telling me that this random comic company in New York City invented dinosaurs?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes.
They don't get enough credit, in my opinion.
What was first, Turok or Jurassic Park?
I'll pay a developer to remake all of Horizon, but make it look like Turok Evolution.
And to answer your question, both the book and the movie predated. Well, not all the movies. The only one that matters.
What book? The Turok book?
No, the Jurassic Park book.
Jurassic Park's a book?
Yeah. It's written by the guy that wrote Twister, dude.
Oh, right. We already went over Michael Crichton.
Yeah.
For more on Michael Crichton.
Not Prey.
No, for more on Michael Crichton, check out our Fallout v. Westworld thing.
Sorry. I was thinking of Michael Crichton's Prey, not...
no, because Michael Crichton wrote the Westworld book.
He did.
He also wrote BMX. That was based off of a Michael Crichton book. It's a little known fact.
It was a passion project. He always wanted to.
It was.
Yeah.
Man, he was trying to battle with Stephen King's MLB XXX, which was an unsuccessful book of his. That got turned into a bad movie, and so.
Who put that out? Like the Weinstein Company?
Whoa, too soon, dude.
Yeah. Now, I believe this already came up enough in the Guy Game episode, but just to summarize it up, Turok did well for them on the newly released Nintendo 64, especially that first debut before GoldenEye fucking kicked its ass a year later. But that series had its fans.
What?
They reviewed and sold well enough, and it strengthened their already close relationship with Nintendo of America. I had to shoot through that as quick as possible so you wouldn't make fun of GoldenEye. Their second Valiant Acclaim collabo was a game...
You're pronouncing Valorant wrong.
You know what the fucked up thing is? I've literally... that's what I keep second guessing after I say
I can tell you're struggling with the word Valiant because of fucking Valorant.
But the pair of companies, their next game was called Shadow Man in 1999, a third-person action-adventure shooter aimed at the same edgy and more mature demographic that Turok was. This was also their largest budget title yet, with launches set on the N64, PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, and PC. I'm afraid I have no experience with this one. I'm not sure about you guys. But it's said to have scored...
What, Shadow Man?
Yeah, Shadow Man. It's said to have scored decent reviews.
Skulls?
I'm sure there's skulls. Yeah, I bet there's skulls.
I think I might have already...
It performed well enough to continue that IP forward.
I think I might have already talked about this. Was that the game that was adults only?
No, that's Thrill Kill.
Oh, no.
Or Manhunt 2. No, it wasn't Shadow Man. Very few games have had to face that rating head on. I don't know if this one had a comic book counterpart either. It might. This one actually
did.
Yeah, this one. Because I was gonna say this one I think did. Because I wasn't sure if Turok did, but I remember when I was looking this up, seeing Shadow Man comics, but I didn't know if they were like fan stuff. It's hard to tell online these days.
Yeah, big community out there of Shadow Man fans.
Hey, I don't know. Could have been cool. I might have been into it back then. This looks like the Spawn era. Like aesthetically, that's what I would compare it to. Otherwise, around this time from them, there were the Extreme G games, futuristic battle racers that were pretty cool. Not F-Zero or even Wipeout cool, though it's at a respectable third place there. Speaking of racing titles, there was Revolt, the one with the little remote control cars. There was Scorcher, some NHL games, another Iguana joint called Forsaken. I don't know if anybody remembers that one outside of its weird fucking box art. Do you remember that?
Which game?
Forsaken.
Forsaken, I remember.
Forsaken.
Yeah, look up the box art real quick. I just want to see.
It's not even on my Acclaim's game list I have up here.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Was the one that looked like a Guns N' Roses album.
Yes, yeah. With the tear and the tattoo on that lady's cheek. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it's a shoot. It's like it's an FPS. But I don't. Very bizarre.
He plays Axl Rose.
Not that I know of.
Oh,
though if you get to... No, I'm not going to make that joke.
Do you think this is what they named Destiny's Destiny 2's DLC after?
Yeah. For sure.
I thought that game Armorines had its moment. Project Swarm. That was also with Valiant. You had our friend Conroy brought this up yesterday, but Iggy's Wrecking Balls. That thing was odd but fun. Bizarre Creations Fur Fighters was around here too. Some Mary-Kate and Ashley shit. Keep those in mind for later. But enough about all that. Let's get into the downfall a little bit. That way we can get to the funny stuff sooner. And trust me, some of it is real fucking funny. Shit.
That's the funny alarm. It's time for some funnies.
Sorry about that. Yeah. No, you want to know the sad thing is that's the alarm in my phone because it's the only time of the week I can access my unemployment.
You're right. That is funny.
That is, yeah. That is, what is it,
COVID's
13,
leaving me out of
13
work.
million?
So the first blow actually had to do with that wrestling partnership I brought up earlier. After 2 later entries in the WWF series on the N64 and PS1 failed to meet the same expectations set by their predecessors, the Foundation unexpectedly and hastily decided to abstain from renewing their contract with Acclaim and instead defected to competitor THQ for all future titles. Or at least until, what is it, they went under like a decade or so later.
Yeah, THQ
Not
made
after
the good
putting out
ones.
some beautiful games.
Oh, yeah. It was here that Acclaim then chose to pick up the license to the Extreme Championship Wrestling organization to make up for it, except the ECW would see bankruptcy by 2001, folding before getting to pay back the money owed to Acclaim for the 3 products put out under their banner. For the first time, they were starting to see the losses, and at the beginning of the new generation of platforms with the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. That's not to say there weren't still without hits here and there. The NFL Quarterback Series was performing well, along with their home ports of Crazy Taxi and launch of the new Burnout series with 1 and 2, Point of Impact. Not to mention their dive into the rising world of extreme sports stuff with Aggressive Inline and the Dave Mara games. Definitely more on that in a few minutes that I think I mentioned earlier we'll get back to. All right, so this is where things are going to get... I'm just going to let you guys... hear for yourselves. Now, Acclaim really thrived during the Attitude Era of the 90s, right? So what better way to pull themselves out of the downward spiral they were in than by throwing several different, highly questionable marketing promotions to win back the hearts and minds of those looking to publish elsewhere. Any publicity is good publicity. Gamers would think it was cool. Of course, there would be too much red tape here in the old US of A. The UK, though, they'd be chillest people around out here.
Europe? Yeah, I've never done anything wrong over there.
So stunt number 1. In an effort to build awareness of Shadow Man's sequel, sublabeled Second Coming with a 2 instead of an S, those in charge hatched the brilliantly fucking tasteless idea to advertise on gravestones. Except these were real gravestones, and there was a catch. If you were unfortunate enough to lose a loved one during the contest time, or lucky enough, depending on how much of a Shadow Man fan you were, you could commiserate that person forever by having the space next to their tombstone engraving shared with a tacky ad for the much less well-received follow-up. But Acclaim would pay for the entire funeral as well as some extra cost to the deceased relatives. People were clearly upset at the whole idea, more so after when publisher representatives stated that, quote, poorer families might be especially interested.
Honestly, that sounds like a dynamite.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like...
If you do that nowadays, like...
That whole industry is also a horrible racket, one that exploits those grieving, so who's to say, like, what's more fucked up here?
Oh, the funeral industry.
Yeah.
Between the funeral industry and the video game industry, the funeral industry is more fucked up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah. I also could not find any solid evidence of anyone taking them up on the offer.
I would have. I would have gladly had Shadow Man on my tombstone if nobody had to pay those fucking crooks.
Yeah.
And then you just go, Acclaim's paying for it, and then you get like the Lexus of caskets or whatever, the one that has like built-in Bluetooth or I don't know what they do now.
Yeah, the camera inside.
Yeah, so you can see the body decay on a webcam in real time.
Stunt number 2, leading up to the release of Turok Evolution, as Chris brought up earlier, higher-ups thought it might be cheeky to host a little promise to those looking forward to the series' jump to new hardware. The promise being that if any soon-to-be parents in the nation were to name their just-born child Turok, they would receive £6,000, or about $10,000 grand in Freedom Bucks. Not unlike what Bethesda would do years later to promote Elder Scrolls V by having your newborn named Dovahkiin after the protagonist in the upcoming Skyrim. The problem, outside it being stupid, was that those who committed to the name would just change it later after being granted the cash. Reportedly, some of the folks who participated were even said to be actors just trying to take advantage of the deal. Imagine a kid named Turok. It's better than Dovahkiin, I think.
I'm going to name my kid Cyrodiil.
Never gonna. That was like a year and a half ago.
Almost 2 years ago, I think.
God. Oh, and when called out for the pitch, Acclaim cited that they had gotten the idea from Dr. Simone Central of Australia's Marketing Science Centre, whatever the fuck that is, who authored the book Market Their Pants Off. Although that author, of course, didn't exist. And when the ISBN number of the said novel turned out to actually be a book of knock-knock jokes instead.
That's so much better.
Yeah, so who had the last laugh, really? You know?
I love Acclaim. Bunch of jokesters.
All right. Well,
honestly, none of this sounds bad.
Well, it gets better. All
Name
right.
your baby Turok, and we'll pay for your funeral. That all sounds like dope. A dope idea.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
So stunt number 3, and by far my favorite.
Oh, God.
For whatever reason, executives at Acclaim came up with the totally not legal promotion in association with their second Burnout game that the company would reimburse any motorist in the United Kingdom
who's willing to traffic drugs at high speeds across Europe.
No, that's Smuggler's
As long as you put an Acclaim logo on your windshield.
That's Smuggler's Run. But for any speeding tickets that they get during the designated days up to the game's launch.
What, they would pay for them?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, right up till its release day.
It all works together. You have a kid named Turok. Follow me through on this.
Yeah.
You have a kid, you name him Turok. And then you go, ooh, that was a mistake. So then you high speed down the highway. They pay for all your failed attempts. And then eventually you get into a fatal accident. And then they pay for your funeral.
Yeah. Perfect. It really does come full circle when you mention it.
This is a real socialist company we got going on here. Now,
this obviously not only encouraged extremely unsafe driving, but was promptly shut down when the government discovered it.
Yeah, no shit. Now, we all know that speed limits are just put in place so that the higher-ups in the country can oppress the working class.
Yeah.
We all know they're fake,
keep
they're made
people
up.
Complacent
they
with
don't
low
actually keep people safe.
Speed limits.
They're just used to rake more money out of the poor to fund tax cuts for billionaires.
That is true. So now they're fighting for us.
Yeah, they're fighting the power. That's what I'm saying.
Acclaim might
they're
be
fighting
the best
funeral industry,
ever.
the baby naming industry, and the government. My 3 least favorite things.
Baby naming industry.
That is something Austin says.
Yeah.
He says
it's on his shirt.
Says, fuck. Oh, it's time for the funnies.
Sorry, I turned it off for good this time.
What do you got, Randall?
It's a joke alarm.
Well, unfortunately, this one isn't funny at all. This is probably the worst thing they've done. So this is stunt number.
Wait, hold on. I didn't get to carry on my joke, which is Austin saying, "Fuck you, pharmaceutical company, for overcharging my medication. I'm mad at the baby naming industry first."
It's true.
All right, so stunt number 4, my least favorite. While running a campaign for Sega's Virtua Tennis 2, PR workers decided to spray paint the game's logo onto the wings of live pigeons for them to be set free during televised tennis matches. This form of blatant animal cruelty rightfully didn't set well with anyone and was quickly discontinued.
My 4th least favorite thing, dude, pigeons. They got them all covered. Also, pigeons flap their wings pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it seems like a hard job to
what
try
are you
and...
out here?
What, you're saying that they would flap the paint off?
No, who's going to see the logo? I guess if the pigeon,
I don't know. Yeah.
If the pigeon sits on the net, but then it gets hit with a ball and then it's a whole mess.
I feel like even if you were in the stands for that, I don't think you could tell. You would just think that pigeon had
yeah, if only there was
weird was going on.
If only there was some space around the tennis court that you could rent and put the logo there instead.
Or 100 other normal
that was probably more expensive. They're we could all wear these T-shirts, or
we could all hold up signs whenever there's a point scored in an advertising game, or we could spray paint pigeons. And some guy
bullets for the golf
guy just did an entire fishbowl full of Coke and went, the pigeon one.
And last but not least, stunt number 5. This one being the most to elaborate on it. So I know we've already brought it up multiple times, bearing the lead a bit, not just in our intro, but Stunt 5 is essentially all of what BMX XXX was. Originally developed as Dave
There were
Mara's
6 stunts.
Originally developed as Dave Mara's Freestyle BMX 3, the game was pretty much fully retooled as a raunchy sex comedy piece and a pathetic attempt to put copies in consoles upon those on the publishing branch seeing what an extremely subpar product it was turning out to be, like during development. So, in a plea to salvage money and time that was already invested, the team went back and added a bunch of vulgarities, partnered with Score Strip Club in Manhattan, and inserted naked women both in polygonal and full motion video form in hopes of mustering up publicity that would in turn become higher sales numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with that, besides it being asinine, was that they were still using Dave Mara's name from the previous entries. Of course, when he found out about the change, as a dad of 2 daughters, he wasn't too happy. Not that you would need 2 daughters to see how dumb and gross it all is, but...
Yeah, you don't have 2 daughters. You never played it, right?
He not only he not only refused to endorse the game anymore, but then also took legal action in removing his likeness from BMX XXX. Note, he won, and that he would no longer be affiliated with any projects under Acclaim in the future, which he wasn't. Rest in peace, Dave. So we did play this game recently, as Austin brought up.
It's very good.
Before. Through the GCHD, of course, as the GameCube version is shockingly the most uncensored. Those wussies over at Sony would have really upset Jeff Spangenberg or whatever with their less dirty PS2 edition. But yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. It reviewed poorly and sold even worse. Not the worst soundtrack, though, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got Take Back Sunday on it.
It did. And isn't it like Green Day and No Doubt and stuff? So it was weird.
Yeah, it was like whoever picked the soundtrack for that game clearly just looked at song titles.
Song titles, yeah, because it was
like Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue.
I think it was Lap Dance by...
Yeah, Lap Dance by NERD.
Yeah.
And then, hold on.
It's very obvious. Also, I should say Europe didn't care about the sexy stuff in it at all. Like, their tactic barely garnered any attention there.
Oh, yeah. And then Cute Without the E.
That's what it was.
The Taking Back Sunday song.
What?
Very sexy song.
Also Down by 311.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, that, to be fair, that...
Like Going Down?
That is a strip club song.
Yeah? How do you know that?
What, Cute Without the E?
Because I played BMX XXX.
Oh. Good to know all those Scores videos are backed up on Pornhub, by the way, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a link if you guys want it.
Do you think that place is still open?
Scores?
What, Scores?
Yeah.
Yes, and successfully.
Oh, really?
We looked it up when we played the game. Yeah, I think the guy who owned it when BMX XXX came out may have been indicted for some crime.
Oh, God. Oh,
and then it was so popular that it got sold to... I'm assuming another criminal
operating in Baltimore right now.
Okay,
I know there is.
Yes, there is one in Philly or AC. Yeah, you're from there. Baltimore, not the strip club.
Yes.
One thing we should point out, though, is that those FMV videos are kind of undeniably hilarious, where there's like a bike on stage. There's like a BMX bike. And these like women, these poor women, they don't really know what to do with the bike. Like what they're like, it's so awkward.
It's very awkward, and they look very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of lawsuits, Mara wasn't the only one to come after our boys at Acclaim. A year later, in 2004, all these disastrous stunts were between 02 and 03, by the way. Mary-Kate and Ashley would sue over unpaid royalties from their games. The amount, according to the Los Angeles Times, was initially just a measly $177,996.32. That is, until you add interest and further damages. It's unclear what Acclaim had to pay in the end, but rumor has it that it was much more than that when they lost. Mira's settlement alone was quoted as being around $20 million. Then, upon these losses, a suit was filed from their own investors who claimed that those in management at Acclaim had falsified financial information through misleading reports during the 03-04 fiscal quarters. A mere months after that, this was gone through thoroughly in the Guy Game episode, the Jeff man himself came back to pursue payment against his old bosses there in regards to his firing, as well as his alleged tricking from Fishbach that caused him to purchase bad stock options that costed him over $20K. Acclaim lost this fight too. So with all of that, divisions then began to die out. Acclaim Studios Cheltenham? Did
you make that up? It sounds fake.
No, they were shut down. And Acclaim Studios Manchester was also shut down.
I know where that is. They got a football team there. Pretty big.
Many employees were unfortunately left unpaid due to the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing. By August 24th, 2004, the company had closed all its remaining facilities. Projects like 100 Bullets were canceled midway through.
So many bullets.
Workers in New York and Austin were completely let go.
What?
Your days are numbered.
You see my name?
Total staff everywhere was said to be about 585 people worldwide, which is... It's funny, you're
which, as we know, is 1/8 of an Assassin's Creed.
yeah. And on September 1st, Chapter 7 bankruptcy was filed. Their last title released was a game for PC called Creed with a K. And what would have been their highest rated product ever saw its launch under Electronic Arts a week later with Burnout 3 Takedown. One of the best fucking games ever made.
Really? That was like developed under Acclaim?
It was like it began under Acclaim because Burnout 1 and 2 were, and then it shifted to EA.
And then EA just like published it?
I mean, you could tell that game was a much larger budget than 1 and 2, so I think that happened probably relatively early in development, where once they had access to that, like more resources, then they were able to like integrate online and license all that music and stuff. But
yeah, second best soundtrack after...
We're gonna No, the Burnout 3 soundtrack still holds up. I don't know about much if I could say the same about the BMX one, but attempts to reopen the
end the podcast with
Down
inventing the wheel to run yourself over or whatever.
Hell yeah,
the Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah, that's in Burnout. Attempts to reopen the Cheltenham and Manchester studios under the new name Acclaim failed. This was just a month after, in October. Then in 2005, many of Acclaim's former IPs were put up for sale and sold through auction to help pay off the insurmountable debt. The Dave Marin ATV games were acquired by Crave Entertainment. The in-development Juiced went to THQ and saw release. Same with Emergency Mayhem through Codemasters. Interview with a Made Man and The Red Star were purchased by former employees now working at XS Games. Later, Throwback Entertainment would buy more than 50 of Acclaim's properties, including Revolt, Extreme G, Vex, and Fur Fighters. The headquarters was also sold. Even just a couple of years ago, Liquid Media Group would obtain the rest of the 65 titles not yet taken. Standouts like NBA Jam and the NFL Quarterback Club games were in here. Not that many of these acquisitions really led to anything significant. It wasn't exactly the most stellar library to begin profiting off of anymore, but even the, some of that cool stuff, like we just never saw new entries or or remasters or whatever. In August of 2005, a former executive from Activision named Howard Marks would twist the knife once more and buy the actual Acclaim name for $100,000. This then led him forming Acclaim Games by early 2006, except that venture into preteen multiplayer games apparently didn't go well, making the attempt to capitalize on the old brand pretty much useless.
Preteen multiplayer games?
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I would use to describe as one. Like Neopets?
It's like
Roblox?
It's like a Degrassi MMO.
No, that's more teen. I don't know about preteen, but...
Holy shit. You gotta get on that. Edit that out. We need to... That's a money idea right there, baby.
I don't think Drake will come back, Austin.
No.
We will if we tell him there's a copy of the Guy Game in it for him.
Yeah.
So then a month later in September, an official complaint was filed against the founders, holding them accountable for the losses and handling of the bankruptcies. $150 million in damages was sought after, although that still remains pending. All right, I got one more, and then we're out of the courts.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Somebody sued because they didn't go bankrupt, right? Did I hear that?
They
you
didn't
can do that?
Well,
God, I fucking hate this country so much.
I mean, they screwed over a lot of people.
I understand that, but like, hey, you don't have any money. You owe us $150 million. Like, where are you going to get it from? We don't own anything.
Yeah, I can. And even the assets left they did have were already all sold off. Like, no, you're not wrong.
You can go bankrupt, right?
Well, then let me tell you about this though. 2 years later, in 2007, as late as that, one of the numerous class action suits filed on behalf of their stockholders was finally won. This time, though, it was from a prior disagreement with one of their first studios, Sculptured Software, stating contract terms were violated when employees were laid off, thus losing their entire severance packages.
Okay, that's more appropriate.
Oh, it is. It's like, but again, I don't know how, I don't know how much that actually really ended up being per, like,
probably not
worker.
a lot.
Yeah,
right?
In the end. If it's anything like the class actions that we've gotten.
Yeah, I got $12
I
for buying like 8 copies of Madden.
I got one from a previous employer that ended up being like $16.
Yeah, because they stole your identity.
No, they just destroyed everyone's credit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's PayPal that likes to steal my identity.
Did that like $18 that they sent you help restore your credit at all?
It was $16. I think I got Taco Bell once.
Did that Taco Bell raise your credit score at all?
I believe it didn't, but
oh man,
I kept going there until the potatoes were gone, and
what a shame.
And my score still didn't go up. So there you have it. Fucking Acclaim, a once respected and loved team who, through a whirlwind of inhumane practices, stupid as fuck PR promotions, downright piss poor business decisions, and frankly just some bad games, are now dead and buried with dirt over their coffin. Would they have even made it, through onto the next generation? Who knows? Probably not. Which does raise the question of why is it so difficult for companies of this size to really exist anymore, with the industry being what it is now? This subject I do intend to go much deeper on, of course, when I cover THQ and Midway in the future. But yeah, that's it. Turns out you need more than just tight partnerships out of the gate to keep you rolling through each console cycle. Treat your workers better. Don't stretch your resources thin, and especially when you don't have an endless amount of them to gamble with. Oh, and try to refrain from spray painting animals. Seriously, that's just sick.
All of those things are required under capitalism. So,
yeah.
Hate to break it to you.
Well,
not treating workers well, spray painting animals. What else you say?
Stretching your resources thin.
That actually does apply.
Yeah.
Well, so does the worker thing. Really, the animal one wasn't the one. Unless you own a makeup company, I guess.
Oh.
I know. Sorry. Had to bring it there.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. But that's what I got.
Beautiful.
So you're telling me that it's ACC?
Yes.
LA? That's crazy.
Yeah. Wait till I tell you how THQ is spelled. That's really going to blow your mind.
Whoa. It's actually TH and then QUE.
Oh, God, that would be fucked up, ain't it?
But yeah, I'm excited to listen to this episode.
What's up?
I'm excited to listen to this because you said ACC and then I checked out completely. I didn't listen to a word you said. So
we talked about gravestones, boobs, and speeding tickets.
No, I came back in real quick to talk about DNL and then checked back out again.
Yeah, is your case on the way?
Tune in next week for my new 7-Up themed podcast. Where I put the 7-Up logo on its side and then try to read that as an English word, and that'll be the title.
If you did notice, I posted the DNL logo upside down and backwards in our general chat. I did that on Paint in 13 seconds tops. So that's how much work they put in.
Yeah, I was just saying.
It literally took me no less than 13 seconds.
All right.
Oh, dude, we're going to get sued. Yeah.
All right. Well, now we don't need to do a podcast because we just invented 7-Up.
God,
that's very profitable.
That Bubsy picture. It's so... why are his pupils going off in different directions?
I don't know. I will put Bubsy in the thumbnail even
No,
though it's not.
I was gonna say
related.
you got to put cool spot in the thumbnail.
That's gonna be the whole thumbnail. It's just gonna be the DNL logo
Can you
with
use
cool
that
spot.
to censor the riders from BMX?
Cool spot?
Yeah,
Sure.
you just put cool spot over the nipples.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
then,
just gonna be
get creative
it's
here.
gonna be a
Yeah,
screen cap.
and then some
of-
gravestones in there, a burnout car crashing and into
It's gonna be
a
a screen cap of the Scores Manhattan video, but all this naughty bits are gonna be censored out with DNL logos.
and then somebody
This is a bit low res.
somebody who just says hi, my name is Turok, like is their name tag,
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. I gotta go buy some 7-Up
and then a bunch of pigeons.
and some Acclaim games.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All right.
yep.
Well,
Plug time.
thanks for listening.
Yes.
This was a fun one.
Yeah, and I'll do more if you guys like failed companies doing stupid stuff.
Oh boy, do I!
Yeah, there will be more of that to come.
Cool. Are you gonna talk about the?
No shortage of companies doing stupid stuff.
Are you gonna talk about
Yeah,
all the
name
shitty
one
ways?
more company doing stupid stuff.
Especially in this
I was gonna say, are you gonna name all the shitty ways THQ has marketed to people over the years? Because they've done some stupid shit there
Oh yeah,
as well.
yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening. If it's your first episode, we already named a whole bunch of episodes. I don't remember which ones.
The Guy Game one came up.
Yeah.
The ESRB one came up. That's an oldie. And
Yeah.
then
3-parter.
the Westworld
Right.
one came up.
You can find all those and more at our website, hotbuttoncast.com. There's a
Yes.
search function. So you just go there and you just type cool spot in. Nothing will come up.
Not
But
yet.
whatever
soon.
does come up,
Yeah.
you just click on that and listen to that episode.
Yeah.
Or, type in ESRB or any of the actual names of episodes.
No, just type in video game. Start from there and then work your way down.
Bet you that would work. But yeah. You can also find us on all the podcast services. Why do I always forget these? iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Pandora, Audible, Amazon,
You say Spotify?
Himalaya,
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
Are we really on there? I just said it.
I don't know, probably.
All right.
There's a lot of them. Whatever follows the iTunes
Cool.
RSS feed will have us, which is everything. Rate and review on iTunes and tell us just how much you hate us. But give us 5 stars. All right.
But still give us 5
iTunes,
stars, yes.
iTunes recently changed it, so if you hate somebody, you actually give them 5 stars.
Yeah.
If
That
you
is
like
true.
them, you give them 5 stars.
Yeah.
You still give them 5 stars, yes.
Yeah.
It is. There's actually,
And
if you give any less than 5 stars, they will delete your iPhone photos.
Yeah.
It's 5-star
All of them.
review bombing.
Yeah. And if you're real middling on it, then you give 5 stars.
And if
But you write a comment that says, ooh, you jackals or whatever.
and
5 stars.
if you want to wire us some money, we'll try and buy some Acclaim properties.
Yes,
Yeah.
the classic 2020 insult, you jackals.
Yeah.
Like, how much could Iggy's Wrecking Balls really cost?
Probably not a lot.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on social, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast. You can donate to the Indiegogo that we set up so we can finally buy Randy a copy of Guy Game that he's always wanted since he was a little boy.
Oh my God. I was 15 when it came out.
Yeah, like I said. Is that it? Is that everything?
14?
We do have the soda YP. It's coming out. That's coming out. That's a bit of a cerebral joke. You have to flip those letters around in your head.
Soda YP?
Like we're having our soda. The letters are YP. It's H and B upside down. Hot
Oh,
button.
shit.
HB upside down is YP.
That's crazy.
But it's going to look like the Mountain Dew logo anyway.
Yes,
Well,
yes
yeah.
it will.
That's it.
right.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, let's go play
and
some
we're
Cool
out.
Spot.
Yep.